What's good, everyone? Hope you're doing well today. We got Huddy here. Bro,
What's
before we
good?
get into things, introduce yourself to everyone.
What's good? My name's Huddy. I'm from construction. I used to be a tradie. I'm 20 years old from Australia. Pretty much left school knowing uni wasn't for me. Then got myself into an apprenticeship because that's what most people do.
Hmm,
Did that for a few years. Always sort of knew that it wasn't for me. And I know it sounds super cliche, but didn't exactly like the job. And
hmm,
again, I was sort of looking at everyone else and where they sort of ended up, guys that are like 40, 50 years old, and they just weren't where I wanted to be. And
hmm,
I was like, well, fuck, like if I stay in this apprenticeship, that's where I'm going to end up. Like I see my future right in front of me. So I was like, fuck, I need to make a change. I was very, very skeptical about the online space and everything.
hmm,
Um, got scammed a little bit of money. Things sort of went wrong. But yeah, I sort of had that mindset where I was like, well, look, I realized I need to do something different to get different results.
hmm,
That means, on being in the online space is definitely something that is different that a lot of people don't do. So I said, fuck it, just sort of went all in on that. Now I'm at the position now I'm, making 5 figures a month easily. I had a week last week where I made 7.5K. So I'm making some
man.
really good money
Yeah.
in the online space. Been in it for like 6 months now and life's never been better, to be honest, bro.
Hmm. Bro, that is awesome. Definitely sounds like a roller coaster
Yeah.
of, things to be going through. But bro, run us back to like the start with, construction and all that.
Mm.
Now you said not just an apprenticeship that you sort of got, chucked into, but tell everyone a little bit more about that.
Yeah, bro. So, I dropped out when I was 16.
Oh shit,
So,
young.
yeah, year 10, I sort of got to the point, I think it was start of year 11 actually. I
Hmm.
got to the point where I was like, I just don't see myself doing uni. There's just no way. Dropped out, went to an apprenticeship. Wasn't really sure about it. Like I did just stick with it for the first few months and was just like, this is fine. I guess this is how life's supposed to be. Long days, getting treated like shit, just a bad pay. And I sort of just like embraced it. I was like, this is just how life's sort of meant to be.
Hmm.
And I suppose the longer I've been there, the more I realized, okay, I'm not actually willing to put up with this. I'm also, I feel like the ROI of finishing this and getting qualified and everything just isn't really worth it either.
Hmm.
The money doesn't get much better once you do get qualified. Like a lot of the guys I was working with were only really on like 40 to 50 bucks an hour.
Hmm.
And I'm like, dude, like that's what I'm working for. Right now I'm getting paid what, 15 bucks an hour, 17 bucks an hour. And it's just like it wasn't cutting it. It really wasn't. And on top of that, obviously, not enjoying work and long days, just putting up with just shit at work.
Hmm.
And I was just like, it ain't worth it. It really isn't. And I guess for me, man, like it was just, yeah, it was just like I didn't know what else I wanted to do. I
Hmm.
worked with quite a few other guys that felt the same way, like different apprentices as well that felt the same way, but they were always like, yeah, just like wanted to do something different, but very closed-minded in what was actually possible.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, man, like went on for a few years, didn't do anything about it, and then eventually did just, I suppose, take the leap of faith and just try something new.
Hmm. Nah, fair. Yeah, I feel like that's such a big thing with a lot of people sort of in the construction industry trades. It's like, you're going through those big hours, the long days, or your
Mm.
body's going through it. You're not really able to spend a lot of time with people you want to spend with.
Yeah.
But for you, I know you said you didn't really feel like the money was kind of worth it, going through your apprenticeship, but like you hear a decent amount of people who sort of start up their own businesses in construction, start making
Yeah.
some good money. Was
Mm.
that not sort of a route that you wanted to go down?
Yeah, not really. I think there's a very big misconception that when guys go off and start their own business, that they do make some really good money, but what
Mm,
they don't know is that they're working, they went from working 9 to 5 to 9 to 9.
mm,
They're spending more time on the business than, their actual life. And
mm,
yeah, they might be making more money, but again, working more hours. So it's like,
yeah.
is it really worth it? Not really. If you look at the statistics, I'm pretty sure it's like 1 in 3 construction businesses go down.
Mm,
So it's like the win rate there is pretty low.
yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, it's not even worth it. Like it genuinely, yes, where I'm at right now, I don't like the people I'm working with. I don't really like the culture.
Mm,
it's like, yeah, I do have that option to go work on my own and do my own thing later down the track, but it's just like that doesn't really solve my problem or help me reach to my goals either.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
No, I feel. I feel. I guess for you, what do you feel like was finally that almost like turning point for you, where
Mm.
you did finally go, okay, fuck it, like I gotta get into something? Because I know you said you were just sort of putting it off for it was like 2 years, right?
Yeah, I put it off for yeah, a really long time. First year I
Mm.
was pretty complacent, not really thinking about anything, and then that second year was sort of like more the Andrew Tate era, and I started
Mm.
like thinking to myself, "Fuck, I gotta do something, I gotta try something else."
Yeah.
Um, but I guess like the turning point, and this will sound cliche as well, but like I had an argument with my boss,
Mm.
and I kind of came to a realization where I was like, this guy who's in the spot that I don't want to be in is yelling at me for not doing his job right.
Yeah.
It's like once again, like I'm gonna end
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
And all these thoughts I had been thinking for the past 2 years, it all sort of just came together at that one point, and I pretty much just one day said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna leave." Left my
Mm.
apprenticeship on the spot and just moved out of home.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Big move. Definitely, definitely a
yeah.
big move. How did that all sort of go? Making that move, quitting the apprenticeship and moving out.
Wasn't Look, it wasn't the smartest decision. I had a little bit of money in my savings.
Yeah.
It was like I quit, and then mum was sort of like, like she doesn't want to be me to be like a bum or like be complacent or anything. So I had to move out,
Yeah.
which was good anyway. I feel like I did need a bit of a change. Moved away, got my own place, and then I pretty much said in 2024 I was gonna make something work online. Like I
Mm.
didn't know what it was gonna be. I saw everyone doing it, and I was like, dude, if I put my head to it, I'll eventually get there.
Mm.
So that was the move. Wasn't the smartest, wasn't the cleanest transition, but I really just got to a point where it was like, I realized, I can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Every
Mm.
single day I was thinking the same. I was like, fuck me, like this is a cycle. Every single day is the exact same. How much longer am I going to put up with that? And yeah, that sort of blowout with my boss really just, I suppose, was the catalyst, was just the
Mm.
final moment.
Mm. Sounds like that argument was definitely a good
Yeah,
thing that happened for sure. For
yeah.
sure. But I know you said before, you obviously at that point now a few weeks ago made 7,000 in a week, but probably didn't start out like that. So run everyone through like what was the first couple weeks, couple months like for you?
Yeah, so when I first looked into the online space, I was really against getting help from other people.
Mm.
I was just like, I'm gonna try it on my own, I'm gonna figure it out. Like walked through a bunch of different business models like SMMA, drop shipping, did a bit of reselling, bit of crypto, bit of everything.
Just the
Uh,
usual.
just the
Yeah.
usual, just
Yeah.
trying everything like everyone does, everyone's just
Mm.
like looking for, I suppose, that business model that works, the like trying to be early to the party sort of thing.
Mm.
Um, so I spent my first like 6 months just trying different things, sort of, I guess, running in blind,
Mm.
just like, as long as I just keep at it, like I'll figure it out. But I never really stuck to anything. I did get to points where I was like, dude, I need guidance. I need extra help here. I don't know
Mm.
anyone that's done this before. I'm stuck. Like, and that's when I got to the point where I was stuck and I just moved on to the next thing. I was like, oh, excuses, it didn't work. Let me move to the next thing. And I just kept going down that route until I ran out of my money, ran out of my savings, and yeah, it wasn't great. I actually got
Yeah.
scammed a bit of money as well, and I had to go back to construction, and it was
Yeah.
it was a pretty rough first 6 months, if I'm being honest.
Mm. Mm. So what, you started all, you were sort of a bit stubborn where it was like, all right, I don't need help. Like
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Like I can do it on myself
Yeah, yeah,
and really
yeah.
get it through. Then you ended up back in construction
Yeah.
because it's sort of like, do you feel like that mindset of you being pretty stubborn almost was the reason why you ended back up in construction?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like in my head, I was like, this looks easy, because you see
Mm.
the 14-year-olds that are like made it. You see, like
Yeah.
it's like, bro, like I'm 18. I think I was 19 at the time. I was like,
Mm.
why wouldn't I be able to do this?
Mm. Mm.
So I sort of just, yeah, like you said, I was very stubborn. I'll admit that,
Mm.
and made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. No, wow. Definitely that would have been a massive. wake up call. I can
Mm,
definitely
mm,
imagine. But what sort of happened from there? Obviously, you went back into construction.
mm,
Run everyone through what sort of that process looked like from there, getting back into the online space
mm,
and properly going for it at this time.
mm. Look, it was pretty rough. I think that's when I like genuinely hit like a level of rock bottom
Mm,
because I was like, dude, I left construction because I didn't want to be there.
mm,
Spent all my money, spent a fair bit of time, trying to make
mm,
something else work that I was very, very confident in, and it didn't work. I was
mm,
back sort of at square one. Situation was a lot worse as well because I was, down all my money. I was renting. I was, balancing all these different expenses while back in the position I was pretty much in before.
mm.
And I'll be honest, like for the first like month and a bit, I was very complacent. I
Yeah.
guess kind of gave up on myself a little bit and pretty much was living the same way I was living, two years ago,
Mm,
when I was, in that apprenticeship.
mm. Nah, fair, fair. I guess then getting back into the online space again then, how did that transition look? Now that the fact you're in it, you're back in construction again,
Hmm.
and now you're at the point now where you are.
What sort of made me get back into it was, and this is what I thought from the beginning, right? Is like you never know unless you try.
Mm,
And like what's the worst that's gonna happen if you, don't try, right? Like people hate their situation so much and they're not willing to stick with it, but then they never actually try anything. When they realize like even if it goes wrong, you just end up in the same spot.
mm,
And I was at that point, I was like tried something, didn't work, I was back at the same spot. Something I realized as well was just like again, like you never know unless you try. I was just like, fuck it, like let me try again. Like I
yeah.
started to believe, I suppose, you know, I think as long as you just keep trying and keep sticking with it and keep committing to something, like eventually you're gonna get there.
Mm,
Like I
mm,
saw this I forget his name, but it was this Olympian, right?
yeah.
And basically he was in the Olympics like 4 Olympics straight. So that's like a total of 16 years.
Yeah.
And in his
Long
first
time.
3 Olympics, he didn't place even third.
Yeah.
And on that last one in the 16th year, he got gold medal. And it's like imagine he quit that first Olympics or that second one or that
Mm,
third one. Like eventually he just kept sticking with it. He eventually got there. And I sort of felt the same way. I was like, look, like once again, you never know unless you try.
mm,
I'm pretty committed and pretty passionate about not sticking with this job and not being stuck in this position forever.
yeah.
It's like, why not just give it another shot?
Yeah. I guess there's always having that mindset of like there's got to be some light at the end of the tunnel. You know, no
Mm,
matter how many times you fall, you're just always gonna get back up. Because
mm.
I like to think about things where it's like the only way you fail is by giving up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've always got those people who've got like a million and one things going on in life,
Mm,
but they still somehow get everything done. And
mm,
then there's like the kind of people who are like give up the first sort of roadblock that comes in.
mm,
You know, looking at those kind of people, like who do you think gets further? Everybody knows the person who continues to keep going.
mm.
But, you know, for you, what did it all really look like actually getting to that point where you've been able to start making a turnaround? Because I know you said before you were pretty stubborn with things.
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel like were the biggest needle movers or biggest things for you that actually resulted in you starting to see success?
Mm. Well, something I realized was yes, I failed. Yes, I lost a lot of money,
Mm,
but that means absolutely nothing if I don't recognize that they were mistakes
yeah.
and I have an opportunity to learn from those mistakes. And this time around, like you said, I was stubborn. I didn't have that guidance. I didn't really know where I was going.
Mm,
I said to myself, well, this time around, to avoid that, I need to get a mentor. Like I need to get some sort of help
mm,
and some sort of direction. So I'm not just blindly going into something like I did last time.
mm,
So that's when I looked into ABC. I was like, all right, I've seen other testimonials, I've seen other guys in construction do the same. Why not me?
mm,
These guys aren't anything different to me. And yeah, I was just like, fuck it, give it a shot. Invested in a mentor.
mm.
Took like a month. My first month, I was able to make my first 10K, and it's literally only been up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wow. Wow. I guess it really just does go to show the power of like
Yeah.
dropping that ego because they're saying like if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you're
Yeah.
in the wrong fucking room. Like you always gotta find that sweet spot where
Mm.
you're having people challenging you and you're
Yeah.
constantly growing. But bro, making your first 10K month a month into starting with ABC and really getting that guidance, that
Mm.
skill set, and that mentorship.
Mm.
How's it all sort of been from you from there? Because I know you said you've been in this space now for about 6 months.
Yeah. It's only been good, to be
Mm,
honest. There was, maybe a few times that I had a bit of a, you know, like time where I was struggling a bit, but for the most part, it's been really good. I've been able to make at least 5 figures every month.
mm,
Went to Dubai, which was great.
be mad.
Met a lot of the other guys that I suppose I looked up to when I first sort of got into ABC, and even
Mm,
when I was looking at it in the first place. And so just like building that network was great. I
mm,
feel like I've got a lot more mates now that, are people that I need to hang around that make me a better person.
mm,
So like building that network has been great. Obviously making that money, having that freedom's been great. I'm literally going to Bali like tomorrow. That's
mm.
that's pretty
That's
great.
sick, yeah.
So like overall, man, I've got freedom. I've got time freedom, location
Mm,
freedom, financial freedom. Can genuinely do what I want, and that's not even to brag or to
mm,
rub it in anyone's face. It's genuinely like that's what I wanted, and now I'm able to get that.
mm,
So yeah, man, only good things to BH.
mm. Yeah, powerful, powerful. I feel like everybody sort of has a different mindset behind things, where it's like, some people go, oh, he made 10K in
Mm,
his first month.
mm,
That's it's gotta be fucking a lie.
yeah.
But I sort of feel like it's different for everyone. People learn things differently. People take things on different ways.
Mm.
People put more effort into things. But for you, like, what do you feel like was the biggest thing that really helped you get towards that point where you were able to make
Mm.
10K in, your first month with this all?
I think it was the hunger, bro. Like it was the fact that I wanted it that bad. Like I
Mm,
genuinely like being back in construction. Um, Even like because ABC does like Dubai trips and stuff.
mm,
It did one before, and I'd seen everyone going there, and I was like, dude, I have to make it to that. And
mm,
and to get into it, it was like you had to make 10K every single month leading up to January to get there.
yeah.
And I was just so like, I was like watching that, and I was like, dude, I deserve to be there.
Mm,
And that was my mentality. And again, the fact that I hated waking up every day and going to work.
mm,
It was just that. It was just I was just so sick of my situation. I thought about it every day while I was at
mm,
work, and I had to make something work. Like I
mm,
just a lot of people they get into ABC or they get into online space and they don't go 100% when they first get in.
mm,
Sort of like, oh, I'll take the first step, I'll do it tomorrow. Or they keep putting it off. But from the point that I first got into it, I was just like fucking 100% sixth gear, just
mm,
like all in. Just I have to make it work. I had a clear vision. I knew exactly where I was going, and I had 100% belief I could get there because I had everything I needed to get there.
mm.
Yeah,
No, but I think I actually remember around that time of that Dubai trip. It was like what, September last year, and we hopped on a
yeah,
call. I think I remember, and you
yeah,
hopped down, you like sat down in the chair, sat back in your construction uniform, and you're like, "Fuck."
yeah,
I remember that. That definitely
yeah.
hit me
I
deep. So
remember that as well.
it's
That that was when I was genuinely contemplating joining ABC. I was like,
mm,
bro, like I knew some of the guys that were going to Dubai. I would literally wake up at 3 a.m. and see Nelson live stream him in
mm,
a Lambo, and I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck am I not there?
yeah,
Like, and that might sound egotistical, but I genuinely
mm,
believed in my heart that I could be there,
mm,
And yeah, man, it was yeah, that was it, bro. I was just like,
yeah,
I need to be there. I got to do what it
yeah,
takes to get there. Yeah,
yeah. No, it's crazy to see the different side of things. Now,
yeah,
what do you feel like things would have looked like if you didn't do this? Like you probably would have still been in construction doing the exact same shit, eh?
yeah. No, 100%. Like I think about that quite often.
Mm,
It makes me very grateful and very appreciative of making the decision I made. Because yeah,
mm,
100%, bro. Like I'd be depressed. I'd be directionless. I genuinely felt like such a shit piece of just a piece of shit. I
Yeah.
felt so like I was just like I'm a failed human being. I
Mm,
said I was gonna do this, didn't work out. I'm back to where I'm at before, and I was just like, dude, like I hated life genuinely.
mm,
And like if I didn't do anything, I'd still be hating life. I'd still be in the same spot. You know, I had some debt that I had to pay off. I'd still be paying off that debt.
mm,
You know, after I joined ABC, I paid off that debt like ASAP.
yeah.
So like, you know, life's completely different to what it should have been, you know.
Mm, yeah. No, of course, of course. All from that one decision of
Yeah.
actually, taking action. So
Yeah.
it was real good having you on. But before we head off, like, what would you give one word of advice or the main thing that you want to have people who watch this video take away with?
That's a very good question.
Mm,
I think look, like if you're in a position that you hate, like you genuinely don't want to be in it, you don't see
mm,
yourself doing it long term, what is the point of complaining about it? You do absolutely fucking nothing. Like how much longer are you willing to stay in that same spot? And that's how I felt. That's
mm,
how I know a lot of people feel, but they just don't do anything. Like they don't do anything about it. And it's like for me, like I think I said it earlier, like what's the worst that's gonna happen if you try it,
mm,
you know? And I'm living proof of that. Like I tried and failed and went back to where I was at before. And life was the same. Like it was a little bit worse, but you know, like I think you said it a little bit earlier, but like, you know, you can never get time back, but you can get money back,
yeah.
you know? And you're thinking about, oh, you know, I hate my situation. I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life. That's 50 years. Imagine 50 years of not trying anything.
Mm,
Yeah, it might cost you some money to try something,
mm,
but you're potentially getting out of that spot and what you have 30, 40 years of you actually enjoying life. Whereas like if you don't do anything about it, you're guaranteed stuck in that spot.
mm,
And like I know it seems so simple, but it's like it's a hard pill to swallow for I think a lot of people.
mm.
You
Exactly.
know, people will just lack some sort of, I guess, foresight or just future pace their own life. You know,
Mm,
I think you said it earlier as well. It's like the decisions you make, you're in the spot right now, where you're at right now, because of the decisions that you've made. You
mm,
know, and it's like boom, like if you want to be in a better spot, you got to change your decisions. You can't expect the same result doing the same shit.
mm.
Yeah,
No, exactly. Yeah, you see like all the time people at work where it's like so many people just bond over the fact that they can complain about how much they hate their job.
yeah,
And that was something
literally,
big for me back when I used to work all these
yeah.
different jobs.
That's a very good
You
one.
just
Yeah,
bond over how much you hate the job, and then everybody rocks up at the same time tomorrow and says
mm.
the exact same thing. But all it just comes down to,
It's not even job. It's life.
yeah, bro, I know,
It's
I know,
life.
I know.
It's the missus is like ripping my ear off. It's work. It's the kids. It's everything. Like their whole life is unenjoyable.
Mm,
And yeah, like you said, they bond over it. That's all they talk about.
mm,
It's all they fucking talk about, bro.
I know,
And it's miserable.
I know.
No,
And then
it's
yeah, it just same day, same thing, repeat the cycle. But
mm,
it's just like you said, the decisions we made yesterday lead us to where we are today, and the
mm,
decisions we make today lead us to where we are tomorrow. So it's like
mm.
all it comes down to is just making that one decision.
Mm.
But it was real good having you on, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Cheers for coming on.
No, of course.